Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, May 3rd. I'm Aryeh O'Sullivan, and this is IBA News broadcasting from Jerusalem. Hours after Yisrael Lavon, a 60-year-old ultra-Orthodox Jewish man, was stabbed near the Lions Gate in the Old City, police and border police captured the 18-year-old Palestinian terrorist. While last night's terror attack occurred in the midst of a lull in violence, security officials have warned terrorist organizations are determined to heat up the area. IBA's Margot Dutkevich reports.
This morning, doctors at Jerusalem Shaarei Tzedek Hospital said the condition of the 60-year-old Israeli man who suffered stab wounds to his back has stabilized. Last night's attack occurred near the Lions Gate in the Old City when the terrorist stabbed the man walking in an alleyway near the gate and fled. Despite his bloody wounds, the man ran to alert troops deployed nearby. Security forces sealed off the Old City to search for the attacker after finding the knife near the site. Hours later, the manhunt for the perpetrator came to an end when the terrorist was caught hiding in an alleyway. Police also arrested a resident of East Jerusalem they believe assisted the terrorist. Last night's incident occurred in the midst of a lull in violence, despite a bus bombing in Jerusalem in April, in which a number of Israeli civilians were injured. A report for the month of March released by the Shin Bet security agency revealed the continued trend of a decrease in the scope of terror, with a total of 123 attacks, the majority firebomb attacks occurring, compared to 155 in February. On March 8th, an American tourist was killed in a stabbing attack near Jaffa, in which 26 people were injured. Terrorists in the Gaza Strip fired 5 rockets at southern Israel, compared to 0 rockets fired the previous month. Security officials told IBA that Hamas in Gaza is determined to heat up the area and is constantly trying to transfer its activities to the West Bank, calling on operatives to wage attacks. The motivation of terror groups in Judea and Samaria remains high, and while the month of March revealed a decrease in terrorist activities, the number of attacks foiled by security forces shows the high determination of terrorist organizations to continue attacking Israel. Margot Dutkevich, IBA News.
IDF forces and civil administration officials overnight demolished the Nablus home of Zid Ziad Jamil Amar, one of the 5 Hamas terrorists involved in the deadly shooting attack in which Eitam and Naama Henkin were gunned down in October of last year. Violent clashes erupted during the complex pre-dawn operation where, according to Palestinian reports, security forces destroyed the walls of the terrorist apartment located in an 8-story building. The Henkin couple were driving to their home in Itamar in Samaria when they were shot dead in front of their children. 16-year-old Palestinian terrorist Morad Adayes was convicted at the Judea military court for the murder of Daphne Meir, whom he stabbed to death outside her home in the settlement of Otniel in January. Adayes was charged with murder and illegal possession of a knife. He was arrested in his home in the West Bank village of Beit Amar 2 days after the attack. After stabbing Meir, Adayes went home and watched television. Meir, the mother of 4 children and a foster mother of 2, suffered fatal stab wounds to her chest. Her 17-year-old daughter, Anana, who was at home at the time of the attack, gave security officials a description of her mother's attacker, which assisted in his arrest. It's been cleared for publication that ahead of the Passover holiday, Israeli custom agents thwarted the smuggling of some 4 tons of aluminum chloride, which can be used to make rocket fuel. The chemicals were discovered in a huge shipment of salt that was on its way to the Gaza Strip from Egypt. General Security Services, who were also involved in the operation, said the seized amount of ammonium chloride could have been used to manufacture hundreds of long-range rockets. The illegal delivery, which the Shin Bet suspects was intended for Hamas, was found amid routine checks of goods transferred through the border crossing. The Erez crossing into Gaza, which has been closed to commercial traffic for the past 8 years, is set to reopen in the near future. Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon announced the move, although it is not yet clear when exactly it will happen. The crossing, which is currently only used by the pedestrians, is considered to be a central passage for trucks carrying all kinds of goods. A spokesman for the defense minister said its opening will improve the daily lives of Palestinians living in Gaza by supplying a larger amount of food and basic products. Yalon himself also stressed the need to ease vehicle congestion at the Kerem Shalom crossing, which currently serves as the sole passage for trucks transferring goods between Israel and the Gaza Strip. In related developments, Israel is also expected to renew the supply of cement for private projects inside the Gaza Strip. The cement is intended for use in the reconstruction of thousands of civilian structures damaged during the 2014 war with Gaza. The shipment of cement to the private sector was halted by Israel just over a month ago as a punitive measure to Hamas, which managed to steal supplies and use them for its tunnel construction. At the same time, shipments for cement for international projects to the Strip continued, since it was operated under a separate mechanism. Security officials said the latest decision to renew cement shipments was made as a goodwill gesture to Turkey, which is engaged in reconciliation talks with Israel, and is seeking to remove what Ankara refers to as the siege over Gaza. Turning to politics, and once again, rumors are flying over the possibility of a national unity government that would bring the opposition Zionist Union Party into the coalition. IBA's political reporter Kalev Ben-David joins me in the studio and brings us up to date.
Is a unity government still a serious possibility? According to one local media report, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Zionist Union head Isaac Herzog were close to such an agreement weeks ago. The deal would have brought Herzog into the cabinet as foreign minister, but collapsed over objections from his opposition allies Sheli Yachimovich and Tzipi Livni. Both Likud and Zionist Union politicians admitted there have been discussions over a unity government, while denying they have advanced that far. Any such deal might also face opposition from within the government. Education Minister Naftali Bennett was quoted in reports today saying he would oppose any coalition agreement that would cost his Jewish home party the Justice Ministry portfolio held by Ayelet Shaked. Netanyahu would also need the assent of Finance Minister Moshe Kachlon, who met yesterday with Holocaust survivors ahead of this week's Yom HaShoah ceremonies. The Prime Minister and Kulanu Party head Kachlon are currently involved in their own dispute over shifting to a 2-year budget, and Netanyahu's narrow coalition can ill afford more dissent in the cabinet. For Herzog, gaining the foreign minister's seat would certainly be a welcome distraction from the ongoing police investigation into possible election funding violations. But as for now, the push for a unity government seems to be a lot of talk and very little action. Aryeh?
Well, Kalev, is there a possibility that Herzog may pull about this unity coalition government if he has opposition from inside his party?
Aryeh, I think that's a very unlikely scenario, but there have been some precedents. Remember in 2011, then Defense Minister Ehud Barak faced opposition within his own the Labour Party at the time to stay in the Netanyahu government. He actually broke away from the Labour Party to form his own faction, the Independence faction, along with several other former Labour Party members. I don't think such a scenario happening with Herzog. That's a little extreme. But one thing that could happen is some kind of diplomatic development, say the renewal of peace talks with the Palestinians. That would give Herzog the justification he needs to other Labour Party members to go into the government and allow him as foreign minister to take part in negotiations. But short of that happening, I don't see it in the near future.
Well, Kalev, what about these reports about Likud members putting a term limit on the prime minister?
Well, to be clear, Aryeh, as of now, only one Likud Knesset member, Oren Chazan, has publicly come out in favor of this. But there have been reports that other Likud members wanted to explore the possibility of a term limit for the prime minister. There are some problems with that. I mean, the term limits are usually more common in governments which have presidential systems than parliamentary systems. But I think it does reflect the frustration of some of the Likud Knesset members over the fact that their advancement is being blocked by Prime Minister Netanyahu for so many years. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but if Prime Minister Netanyahu should seek another term in office as Prime Minister, I think then people might in the Likud will start going public on that.
Okay, Kalev, thanks a lot. The Israeli Labour Party is contemplating severing ties with its British sister party. This as the British Labour Party's anti-Semitism crisis continues to deepen. Aslan Levy has the report.
They thought Israel was the embarrassment. Israeli Labour Party leader Isaac Herzog has confirmed that he is considering suspending ties with UK Labour, and it seems there will be no other option. This in response to a letter by party colleague MK Nachman Shai, who wrote that a wind of hatred and fanaticism is blowing in the British Labour Party, arguing that it is no longer a counterpart party that we can hold close ties and cooperation with and coordinate policy with. And today, member of Knesset Itzik Shmuli called on Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the British Labour Party, to resign. Jeremy Corbyn should look in the mirror and be ashamed of the anti-Semitic spirit and moral slump into which the Labour Party entered under his leadership, Shmuli said. Anyone with a little more integrity would have resigned long ago. Last night, Shmuli trolled Jeremy Corbyn on Twitter, offering to send him a history teacher as a present. Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, at this rate, there won't be any members left in British Labour, he joked. The recent wave of scandal started last week when party leader Jeremy Corbyn was forced to suspend an MP for suggesting that Israel be relocated to America. It escalated when former London Mayor Ken Livingstone argued that Hitler supported Zionism before he went mad. Yesterday, the Labour Party suspended 3 city councillors in under 6 hours for comparing Israel to Nazi Germany and ISIS, and it emerged that the party has also secretly suspended another 50 members in the last 2 months, above those already named. This comes as the UK prepares for local elections on Thursday, the 5th of May. In the London mayoral election, Labour MP Sadiq Khan is the bookies' favourite to win, becoming London's first Muslim mayor. In the latest Survation poll, Khan leads Conservative rival Zach Goldsmith by 49% to 34% in the first round. Khan has expressed concern that the recent scandals could harm his chances of winning. Even before the latest revelations, he had this to say.
I'm embarrassed. I'm sorrowful about anti-Semitism in my party. I think the Labour leadership could have taken a tougher stance and needs to take a tougher stance.
Considering leader Jeremy Corbyn's support for boycotts against Israel, the irony of a boycott by Labour's Israeli sister party is hard to ignore. This is Elon Aslan-Levy reporting for IBA News.
Up to 90% of high school students across the country stayed home today to protest the Secondary School Teachers Association's decision to cancel extracurricular activities, including school field trips. In addition, the National Students and Youth Council decided to shut down schools to protest the driving examiners' strike, which has been going on since March. Some 60,000 driving exams preventing teens from getting their licenses were canceled since that strike was launched. Initially, today's student strike was intended to last just 1 day, but the Student Council insists that if no resolution is reached by later tonight, sanctions would extend into Wednesday. The students ensured that they would come to school on Thursday to honor Holocaust Remembrance Day. There has been a dramatic breakthrough in breast cancer research. Doctors in Britain have been able to map out nearly 100 genes that, if mutated, could cause breast cancer. This paves the way for better, more personalized treatments for patients in the future. About 4,500 women in Israel are diagnosed each year with breast cancer, and about 900 of them die. Statistics show that 1 out of every 8 Israeli women may develop the disease. Professor Tamar Peretz, the head of oncology at Hadassah Medical Center, praised the revelations, but said it would take time to manifest itself into a better cure for the disease.
Findings enable us to understand, first of all, the basis for the development of cancer, perhaps to prevent it if we know why it happened, and also to develop new drugs and new therapies. We have to remember that even today we already have new medications, new drugs, that cure some of the patients that were not cured 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And these patients are being cured due to the findings that were identified 15 years ago, 20 years ago. So this is a path. It's a way that we are learning from genetic changes, identifying them, and adjusting medications. But it's not that now, today, there is a major change. And it's not that tomorrow there will be a new drug for cancer care, for breast cancer, due to these findings.
In local money matters, shares were mixed on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel was down in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. Turning to the weather, and the IBA weather team says there will be a dramatic drop in temperatures and there are chances of local rain showers in parts of the country. Here are their expected highs and lows at home and abroad for the next 24 hours. That's our broadcast for this evening. Please join us again tomorrow when Laura Cornfield will be here to bring you the latest breaking news from Israel. I'm Ariel Sullivan wishing you a good evening and shalom from Jerusalem.